All right, y'all, we're going to take a look at this boudoir photography business today. See if we see that it has BSS, aka boudoir search sameness, with these two Google searches here. So we're back here in the GBC universe, where we're taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city, utilizing, our North Star as always is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. And this is our North Star because it explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we got our intent spectrum here in white, and we got way on the left, we got the highest 10 people, the Google searchers, the social media searchers. These are people that are looking for a boudoir photo shoot in their city right now. Highest 10 people, closest to the money, highest conversion rate. And over on the right, we got the lowest 10 people. These are, reached them by interruption ads, Facebook, Instagram. People ain't looking for a boudoir right now. Most of them don't even know what the heck boudoir is. So that's our sister brand, FB Ad Doctor. Talk about BLCS over there, different profiles. And these are we currently over there only work with boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads. But here we talk about BSS. We're going to dive into it right now. So BSS is boudoir search sameness. That's when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And when a boudoir photographer's got 0 slots, well, they're on page 2 or deeper, and that's extra bad. And that's because we know that approximately 80% of Google searches never even hit page 2. They're page 1 and done. And so that's what we care about. We care about the approximately 80% of Google searchers because they're the bulk of the market. We don't care about the remaining 20%. Let's focus on the approximately 80%. So we're on page 2 or deeper, we're invisible to all of them. 1 slot on page 1 Google, also not good enough. Still basically invisible, simply because we look the same as everyone else. And if we got 1 slot on page 1 of Google, well, there's 10 slots. And as a result, it's probably going to be 9 other boudoir photographers, 1 link for each. And so, a buyer, what they're going to be doing is just, clicking, going down, clicking everyone's link, and, price shopping everyone, and basically contacting everyone, jamming down the price, jamming down the what a seller can get, and it's become super, super cutthroat. So we never want to be at 0 or 1. We call that boudoir search sameness. And 0 or 1 slots on page 1 Google is not normal. Extremely common, extremely accepted, but not normal. It's actually a symptom of 2 deeper root causes. The first deeper root cause, market saturation. Someone get a new iPhone, then they throw up on Google Maps that they do boudoir photography, and they got a website that's starting to rank page 1 on, or competing to rank page 1 on Google. Or someone gets a new camera, they start posting in the mom groups that they shoot boudoir now. So this market saturation, basically everyone knows about this. A big kind of tsunami happened during COVID. People couldn't work, lost their jobs. They still need to earn money. Everyone's got a smartphone. Everyone's got an awesome camera. So a lot of boudoir photographers entered the market. Makes it harder for every other boudoir photographer in that market, because it's the same sellers or more sellers for the same number of buyers. So it gets harder and harder for each seller. Now, this new one that very few people know about is the false belief of page 1 equality. That is that's the second deeper root cause for why people only have 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And that's because it's simply kind of automatically accepting or agreeing with, or maybe not even thinking about if it's true or false, but kind of an auto assumption that each boudoir photographer gets either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And if you're on page 1, you had your 1 slot with your website, and market gets a little bit more saturated, you get kicked down to page 2. Well, that's simply how it is. You win some, you lose some. And, you kind of got to simply wait for someone to delete their boudoir photography website to actually increase or, actually hopefully move back up onto page 1. So that's a false belief. And I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google to 9 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google in only 10 days. So I know Google will actually give us as many page 1 slots as we want to put in the effort to acquire. Best part is, requires no Google ads, which at max will give you 1 PPC slot somewhere on the page, even if there's other available inventory open. And their momentum dies when you stop spending. So there, and you got to test and figure out all these things to get them to work, constant checking, way too much maintenance for, not enough outcome there. Next, we know that boudoir photographer with BSS is a disappearing boudoir photographer, because if they're on page 2 or deeper, or if they're on page 1 but one slot essentially invincible, then they disappeared from essentially like the 80% of searchers, which means the boudoir photography business itself is on the path to disappearing as well. And we don't want that to happen. So we got our micro universe here. Disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness. It's caused by market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. Thankfully, though, we now have a solution because we know that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka executed methodology. And we know that because we invented it, we've used it. We've gone from, again, 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 Google search to 9 out of 10 slots page 1 Google search in only 10 days. And it works exactly as it says, social search saturation. We're going to saturate the highest intent keywords on social search. And as a result of that, well, when we do that, it's kind of like small streams and rivers on the backside of the Andes Mountains down in South America. When we successfully have those eventually flow down into the large Amazon River. They all merge. And likewise in our scenario, all our social search saturation eventually flows down and merges onto Google page 1 Google search, those 10 organic slots. And Google will give us as many as we put in the effort to acquire. And also SQ methodology is the only thing I've seen that actually, for boudoir photographers, that is able to successfully fight back against market saturation. So, maintain the business and actually still grow in spite of market saturation. So still get bigger and happen relatively quickly, get results shown up relatively quickly. The only other thing I've seen that can fight back against market saturation and still allow the business to grow in spite of market saturation is brand. Having a well-known massive brand. Dude, that takes 5 to 10 years. We ain't got that time. SQ methodology works relatively way faster than that. And AI is taking people's jobs, taking people's opportunities. We ain't got 5 to 10 years to build a brand. With SQ methodology, if let's say there's a million boudoir photographers in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we're one of them, and everyone's got their own boudoir photography website, competing to rank page 1 Google search, then what's going to happen is we need to try a new strategy to actually outcompete everyone else. So take SQ methodology, we crank it up to the max, and let's say we take the first 300 slots on social search for all these the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords, and we actually, that saturation actually flows onto Google page 1, and we actually get the first 300 slots Google to ourselves. What actually happens is it's 10 organic Google slots per page, and as a result, we got the first 30 pages all to ourselves, and the final one is page 31. That's essentially our competitors first start showing up for organic search. So boudoir buyers basically never find them. So whose business is growing when we got ultra market saturation, a million boudoir photographers? But where the first 300 slots anywhere boudoir buyer looks. Obviously, our business is still growing. Everyone else's business is disappearing, dying off. It's because SQ methodology is the only thing that enables that without having a brand. And it actually speeds up the process of acquiring a brand. My estimation is probably 8x faster. It's because we're seen on so many more surfaces so much more frequently. Next, once we treat with SQ methodology, we have page 1 visibility. And an initial benefit of this, kind of a second benefit utilizing SQ methodology, is every new slot we take, page 1 of Google, we're actually kicking competing boudoir photographers off page 1, effectively making them invisible. So that's a second benefit. That's another initial benefit of utilizing SQ methodology, is we're getting more kicking more people off page 1. We already know approximately 80% of Google searches never even hit page 2, so we're making our competitors invisible to approximately 80% of the searchers out there. Awesome. And page 1 visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. This is where we want to hit our recommended 3 out of 10 page 1 slots on Google, because that's the GBC recommended minimum. And that's because if we got 3 slots, basically everyone else will have 1 slot, we'll look way better than them. Way higher chance buyers, click on us and don't even click on our competitors because they're like, wow, why does Google recommend this person 3 times? It's the 3rd person I've seen them now on this page. They may not even click on any of our competitors. And in the very rare case, another boudoir photographer competitor has 2 slots then we're still dominating them as well. We got it because we got 3. So that's why we got the GBC recommended minimum of 3. And a boudoir photographer with BSV, boudoir search visibility, is a visible boudoir photographer, a VBP. So this is our micro universe. We got a disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness caused by the dual horns of market saturation and page 1 equality. And we now have a solution, execute methodology. We achieve page 1 visibility. We become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. Next, my results. So my results, I want to rank for the keyword BLCS boudoir. Okay, I'm going to utilize my execute methodology to achieve that. And after 10 days, these are my results. So page 1, this is Google organic page 1, or the organic slots here for organic search. Slot 1, me. Slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. And slot 10, me. So in 10 days, I went from 0 out of 10 slots, page 1 of Google, to 9 out of 10 slots, page 1 of Google, all by purely using SQ's methodology. So now we're going to look at this boudoir photography business. I'm going to check. So all this is based on the Google page 1 searches here. So we got these 2 Google searches. Let's check these out. So first one, we got boudoir photographer. Is that the first one? No, I think. Oh no, St. Augustine should be the first one. I got to do St. Augustine here. Boudoir photography, St. Augustine. St. Augustine. And there we go. All right. So let's see what we got here. Look for a supernova. There we go. So we got they got 1 slot. And all right, we got 2 slots here. Wedding wire. Yeah. We do not have BSS, so we got 2 slots here. That's fine. That's good. We perfect. Now we've not hit the GBC minimum. We want to have 3 out of 10 here, but hey, we do not have BSS for the search, so that's good. Now we want to hit the GBC 3 out of 10 minimum because that's kind of the only safe time we can say, hey, we're not going to disappear, we're not going to decline. We may not grow, but we'll probably at least tread water. So no BSS, but we're not hitting the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 here. Let's check our Jacksonville, Florida. All right, so still looking for the same supernova. So we got 1. And nope. All right, none of these are specifically about us only. We got 1 out of 10. So we got BSS for the second search at Jacksonville, Florida. Bigger city. So BSS is more common in the bigger cities, obviously, more keyword competition. So we do not have BSS for St. Augustine, Florida. That's good, but we did not meet the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10. But we do have BSS for the Jacksonville, Florida search, and we also did not hit the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10. So if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, you do the local search for yourself, you do the city search for yourself, you realize, you got BSS in one or both places, or you're not hitting the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 slots on Google page 1 search for either local or city or both. And you actually, now, since we put into words that page 1 equality belief, you're like, oh yeah, that is false. I didn't really think about it. There wasn't really a word or phrase for it before. So I didn't really think about it at all. But now, since we got a name for it, oh yeah, that thing's definitely false. I definitely see, we can take as many slots as we want. And you understand the market saturation, the 3 prongs. 1, people get new phones. 2, people get new cameras. And then you're also foreshadowing, you have the foresight to see the third one, which is AI is taking way and way and way more people's jobs, more and more over time. And as that happens, more and more boudoir photographers are going to be forced to enter the market, becoming boudoir photographers because they already got a phone, man. They already got a phone. And they've heard boudoir photography is high ticket. There's going to be more and more boudoir photographers entering the market, and you already know that because everyone already has a phone, a good powered iPhone, or good powered phone with a camera. So there'll be more sellers, boudoir photographers in the market competing for the same number of buyers. But you also know that SQL methodology will allow you to fortify your position in Google page one and kind of prevent those new boudoir photographers from ever getting on page, those new entrants that come from AI taking people's jobs and still to earn money. They actually, are actually made to kind of like putting up levees for like, New Orleans has levees to keep the ocean out because it's below ocean sea level. Kind of like fortifying your levees, dominate as much as you can, take as much page one as you want with using S-cubed methodology. Because you see the big tsunami with boudoir photography is going to be coming into the market as a result of AI. And so you see S-cubed methodology is the one path forward to solve BSS and prevent your position from eroding on page one, and actually take as many positions on page one as you want. And you want to achieve page one visibility. You want to become a visible boudoir photographer, and you want to achieve boudoir search visibility because you need that on your way to become the number one boudoir photographer in your city. And in addition, you actually want the other two bonuses, back-end bonuses. One, which is, as we execute S-cubed methodology, we're actually kind of building up thematic keyword columns attached to our brand. And as we build those up, build up the history, build up the thematic keyword strength and relevance connected to our brand, our website, our social profiles, then what actually happens is we increase the probability. Up here, we are shown as the only slot, the premium slot, the only one recommendation here in the AI overview. And that's premium placement. So every day we execute methodology, we're increasing the probability of this. And also, in parallel, in the back end, every day we execute methodology, we're increasing the probability AI apps, AI search apps recommend us. ChatGPT search, Claude, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini. We are increasing the probability these AI search engines rank us because we're building out these back-end thematic columns of keywords through using S-cubed methodology to, yes, saturate social search, yes, rank page one on Google, yes, kick out our competitors from page one on Google, essentially making them invisible to the bulk of the market, the approximately 80% that never even hit page two on Google. And yes, higher chance we get ranked AI overview at the top. And yes, higher chance we get ranked and pushed AI search. And last time I searched for boudoir photographers in a city, it was with ChatGPT, and it only displayed 3 to me. Literally 3 in that city had 60 or somewhere around there. So you want all these benefits, and you also know that you want to become a first mover in your city because for every day you execute S-cubed methodology and all these benefits, fortifying your position of the oncoming AI, forced boudoir photographers entering the market, building up the back-end momentum for being recommended in AI overview and AI search apps. And every day we build that more and more and more. You're putting more and more space between you and all the other boudoir photographers currently in your city and in the city in the future, where they would have to do so much to catch up. It'd basically be impossible, to where many people simply stop competing. And on the flip side, if some other boudoir photographer in the city were to work with me instead, because my plan right now is to only work with one boudoir photographer per city, you would have to rederive S-cubed methodology on your own, and you wouldn't even know if you derived it correctly to even execute it correctly. And then you'd be having to go execute, and you wouldn't be confident because you wouldn't know if you derived it correctly. So you'd have to go ahead and execute. And if you equaled our execution, our volume of execution with your competitor, you would simply maintain the gap between us that would already have been created. And to pass us, you'd have to derive it correctly, execute it correctly, and probably double our execution every single day in order to surpass the progress, close the gap and then pass us with the progress and momentum we would already made, and kind of pull back that back-end AI search momentum from us, pull back the AI overview momentum for us. It's basically who's got the time. Dude, there's only 24 hours a day. Who's got the time to do all that? So you decided, hey, you're going to be the first mover. So if that's in your city, really set yourself up for success. So if that's you, shoot me a DM when my DM's open. My DMs are closer now. The hospital is not currently accepting new patients, but when I am accepting new patients, shoot me a DM And we'll ask you some questions. We'll see if you qualify for the S cubed methodology.